G20 summit, and Michelle and I looked up exactly what that was. The most powerful, the 20 countries with the biggest economies meet together. Now, the EU counts as one. So, there's a lot of countries there. All right, but there was this international left-wing Antifa there protesting. I believe they were protesting capitalism. Not exactly sure, but they left 130 police injured, and they left Hamburg in flames.
This is insanity. I mean, it doesn't even make any sense. Why? And here's the thing. I'm not even pro the G20 summit, I got to tell you. But to go and have this kind of violence, to me, it's insanity.
So this international left-wing extremist rampaged through Hamburg streets in opposition to the G20 summit Thursday night. Mass demonstrators... Okay, you can be done now. Mass demonstrators threw bottles and stones, blocked streets, and smashed and burnt cars in Thursday night's so-called "Welcome to Hell." Why is this doing this?
I don't have Dropbox on
You hooked that
there.
up my computer. You turned my phone on maybe, and it started to do the Dropbox.
I didn't do anything yet.
It's got to be my phone there.
You can just mute it for a second.
Okay.
Sorry, this is live. Welcome to our live.
Footage from Friday morning showed I muted it, but then no. But here's the thing: when you don't, you have to click off, and then okay. So this "Welcome to Hell" demonstration footage from Friday morning showed numerous fires still burning in the streets, with and thick black smoke hanging over large parts of the city. Police were forced to deploy water cannons, tear gas, and riot control tactics, but could not prevent the destruction as they found themselves unprepared and short-staffed. So we've got just craziness going on here, just cars, because that's what they do. They just catch cars on fire. With the Antifa here, they were totally prepared. With their umbrellas to be water cannoned, and you can see they all have their rain jackets on, and I'm sure the reporters came with their waterproof cameras and things like that.
Is there any volume there? Oh no, we muted it.
I can't. We're gonna keep having this.
No, we
Dropbox notification.
The drop not.
It's really gonna get annoying.
Why does it keep adding pictures?
Because I don't know why. I didn't think we had any room left to Dropbox. There, it's gonna keep going. Every single picture from now into eternity.
Nuh-uh.
Probably.
You want me to shut it off?
You could go get my other camera.
Well,
my other
I have
phone.
to actually shut this phone off.
You probably would.
Is it really going to keep doing it?
I have no idea.
Where is your other phone?
I don't know, on the counter. It's in the basket. It's in the basket, I think, in the basement of vegetables I just picked. So... in total, 130 police officers were injured, Welt reports, and with 12 unable to continue doing their jobs, 3 officers... I thought I had muted you. 3 officers required treatment in the hospital. The injured include police helicopter pilots who sustained eye injuries when laser pointers were directed at them. Police are still being attacked, a spokesperson for Hamburg's police told the AFP, Associated Press, and clashes took place around just 1.5 miles from the site of the summit. So you've got rioters here jumping over this. It's just insane. I think they said there was like, I don't know, 10,000 or something. The numbers are, I don't know. They're, what do you say? What do you say to these people? And then the riot police come and then they're going to come and do their riot police thing, I guess. I think you can unmute it now.
If you're going to say something about it, they're probably being paid.
Yeah.
Their source goes around paying people to do this.
If you can't hear the peanut gallery, what she's saying is they're probably being paid. No, your phone's too big for my holder, fat phone. Have to get something else.
Most of this stuff is done by bad people.
it's hard for me to hear German voices over a loudspeaker because the only time I've ever heard that is in like a Nazi movie.
It is kind of
Stalag prisoners, get back to your prison. Sorry, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's unfortunate repercussion of that.
A senior police officer told Welt, "We can only..."
Hogan's Heroes, yes. We grew up watching that.
Still 13. Yeah.
Still 13.
Rouse! Okay. We can only hope that the rumors disappear that international left-wing extremists want to attack the capital, Berlin, in parallel, because these indications have existed for quite some time now. There was this cool spousal get-together, and Melania Trump was held back because of the protesters.
Which was actually really sad. She said she was looking forward to it.
She tweeted out,
"Everybody
stay safe. I wanted to go."
Oh my god.
Besides the fact, this is a little known piece. They forgot to book the president's hotel, and there was nowhere for him, no room in the inn.
Really?
Yes.
Where did he stay?
I think he stayed in a German governmental building, Senate area. I don't know, but they found room for him within the German government or something. But yeah, it was.
Somebody said that Trump did great in Poland, and you are right. We covered it a little bit. We couldn't do his entire speech. Right. It kind of started out slow, and then it got going near the end.
It was awesome. I mean, for you, please watch that because it was just really, really powerful. Well, in addition, though, yes, you had the protests, but we all wanted to see Donald Trump finally met Putin.
Yes.
And he shook his hand.
He did.
And we were all so excited. Putin even said, "We've talked on the phone, but there's nothing like meeting in person." It's beautiful. So I'm going to try to find all the articles that I had up, and somehow they all just disappeared on me.
Did you try opening up the Google Docs again over there?
No, because it would have been deleted.
No, just try it.
I will try.
Just try it. Did you try right-clicking and edit undo?
I did.
This time is noteworthy. You'll notice that those who love socialism and communism hate Trump.
Yeah.
And those who love freedom and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit, they love Trump. And in Poland, that's a very Christian country.
Yes.
And did they turn on the charm and welcome mat for Trump? I mean, they just loved him because he talked about God. He talked about freedom. He talked fighting for your freedom.
Yes.
And these other people who are fighting, you look at Laura Solis, what's her name?
Sour.
Okay, it's a sour name, yeah. But anyways, somebody like Soros,
George Soros,
who puts on this disrupt the government everywhere. Well, hire a criminal like her. She's a criminal. She's a known terrorist.
She actually is a criminal, yes.
And he hires people like that to start these riots. He gets the worst of the worst criminals to do these riots. They're not grassroots people believing strongly and they have to fight.
Right.
No, they're getting paid or they're encouraged or they're being indoctrinated from public school or their curriculum, whatever. College is really brainwash people.
So we have a couple of viewers that are in college in their later years in life. Adeline is one. Help me think of what's her name? Shyam is another one, and they will tell you that college is a brainwashing center. And so for those of us that are out of college age, for those of you that went to college even 10 years ago, it's different now than it was then. It's just getting exponentially worse as far as brainwashing goes.
I thought I'd just play this meeting of the leaders in the background.
There's baby boy Macron.
I can't even look at the two of them together. It's just beyond repulsive. All the schmoozing. But this is funny.
Yeah.
He grabs his hand.
Hey, buddy. It's great. I tried to watch it live earlier today, but I couldn't get any sound. I couldn't find any videos that had any sound, but I didn't really need sound. Putin's face was more than enough for me. He had this kind of smile, and like Leah had mentioned earlier, she's like, he is the dark horse in the room. And so he just kind of had a smile on his face, like he just knows that these people are all cray-cray.
So U.S. President...
But he also knows that...
Mom, they're not going to be able to hear you.
Putin also knows the only one who accepts him is Trump. And so he feels safe around Trump because they have kindred spirits.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, so U.S. President Donald Trump has begun his first in-person meeting with Russian Vladimir Putin at the G20 summit. President Trump told reporters, President Putin and I have been discussing various things, and I think it's going very well. We've had some very, very good talks. We'll have a talk now, and obviously that will continue, but we look forward to a lot of great positive things happening for Russia and the United States and for everybody concerned, and it's an honor to be with you.
So they're finally colluding! Officially!
The two world leaders shook hands. I think he can now because right now Podesta is under the spotlight because of his company getting $35 million because he made this great deal with Russia. So the two world leaders shook hands. Then Putin addressed the cameras. Putin said, as translated into English, and I really want to find this clip. I had some other stuff up, but like it was taking a while for this stuff to get up. As translated into English through an interpreter, Mr. President, we spoke over the phone with you several times on very important bilateral and international issues, but phone conversation is never enough.
Horatio says it's probably not best to say that the only one that's his friend is Trump because CNN would have a field day with that.
Hi, Horatio. If we want to have a positive outcome in bilaterals and be able to resolve most international policy issues, that will really need personal meetings. And I'm delighted to be able to meet with you personally, Mr. President. And I hope, as you said, our meeting will yield positive results. Now, a really good positive result is that they have resolved to work together in Syria. And it's pretty cool.
Yes, that's awesome.
And so the two men shook hands again. Trump looked directly at Russian president during much of the conference, while the Russian president often looked forward and down with the occasional glance at President Trump. The presidents were flanked by two men on each side during the press conference. Trump and Putin followed the public press conference with an expanded bilateral meeting. And it seems that Tillerson says that Putin asked Trump for proof of Russia's interference. So, update in the Zero Hedge article. As part of the 2+ hour discussion between the presidents,
smile off my
Trump
face.
and Putin,
So
AP
exciting.
reports that the Russian president asked for proof and evidence of Moscow's alleged interference in the 2016 election, which Russia denies. The request was made after Trump confronted Putin about Moscow's election meddling during their first face-to-face meeting in Germany on Friday. According to Rex Tillerson, who was present in the meeting, the Secretary of State told reporters afterwards that Trump opened the conversation by raising the concerns of the American people regarding Russian interference in the 2016 election. Putin once again denied Russian involvement, Tillerson said, but Trump pressed him on the matter on more than one occasion. President Putin denied such involvement, as I think he has in the past, he continued.
It sounds to me like Trump brought it up.
Oh, sure he did. The Russians, speaking after the meeting, claimed that Trump accepted the denial, but Tillerson did not.
Rex Tillerson! Come on, punch you in the face.
Instead, he said the issue may simply be an intractable disagreement. Tillerson also said the Russians pushed Trump for proof and evidence of meddling, something which the president himself had doubted in public as recently as Thursday. Now, here we go, guys. Remember, why did Podesta and the DNC not hand over the servers to the FBI that they say were hacked by the Russians? Everyone says that this CrowdStrike computer server people are so moral and they would never lie. But when the FBI asked the DNC for their servers, they have consistently said no. So, of course, I am not going to believe anything they say. Nobody should believe anything that they say. If you have proof of a crime, you hand it over to the FBI, and the FBI says this is what happened. But no, we barely trust the FBI, right? But the DNC thinks that there must be somebody honest enough in the FBI that it would get out.
The fact that Rex Tillerson doesn't accept what Putin says a lot about Tillerson.
So the president at this point pressed him and felt like at this point, let's talk about how we go forward.
Horatio wants to know, are they not bound legally to do that?
No, they weren't. They weren't. It was their servers, and they would have to hand it over to the FBI.
And his name was Seth Rich.
Yes.
You got that right.
So Trump and Putin agreed to explore a framework around which they can work better to understand these types of cyber threats. The two leaders agree that this is a substantial hindrance to the ability of us to move Russia-U.S. relationships forward and agreed to exchange further work regarding commitments of non-interference in the affairs of the United States and our democratic process as well as those of other countries, Tillerson said. So more work to be done in that regard. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who was in the meeting, said afterward that Trump accepted Putin's assurances that Russia didn't interfere in the election. He accepted, he could tell. He believed Putin.
Here's the thing. Trump wants to believe Putin because prior to all of this, Trump was on the Putin bandwagon, not because of collusion, but because he saw sees that Putin is a genuine person that only wants the best for his country. And Trump is one of those people that respects when other leaders make those types of decisions. Here comes the peanut gallery.
Well, I just want to add history to all this. In the 1930s, men decided, hey, we can steal everybody's gold and silver if we make fake money. And so they took over our government.
That was earlier on.
Yeah, and they gave us this fake money and stole everybody's gold and silver. But they didn't steal America's gold and silver. They stole gold and silver from all over the world. And then those bankers brought in Hitler. Those bankers brought in communism. And so these are communists that we are fighting and bankers we are fighting, the globalists, and Putin won't let them back in his country. And Putin's trying to go back on the gold standard, and he's trying to farm because before all this happened, everybody farmed because everything's a free gift from God. Water is free, it just falls out of the sky. Food is free, it multiplies itself. Land is a gift from God, it's free too. And these guys want to enslave us. So we don't know that everything we have is a gift from God. You can multiply your green beans, and you have green beans the rest of your life, and you can have wheat the rest of your life. Just get a piece of land and start growing things. Animals multiply. All this stuff is free, but they want us to buy everything.
Right.
And so communism was brought in by American bankers, and the paper money was brought in by American bankers. Nazism was brought in by American bankers. All this evil is done by bankers and globalists and communists.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patriot
I thought
Gallery.
I'd bring up, this is a live stream of what's going on in Hamburg right now.
Oh my gosh.
Go ahead.
Not to give Horatio all to say, but he said, surely if the FBI asks for something, you have to hand it over. You would think.
It was not, I guess it wasn't that kind of ask. It was more of, hey, we'll take a look at this. It's kind of like if you don't press charges, then
everybody says thanks, Mom.
Then there's nothing out of that. But
the FBI and the CIA and all these agencies work for George Soros and bankers.
Very true.
And they'll take you out if FBI were to push on these people. CrowdStrike, I think his name. If they were to push on them, they'd end up dead tomorrow, like everybody else. Clinton has a death list. Clinton's father was a communist, and she was raised by a communist. Obama's father was a communist. He was raised by communists. And they have 1,000 ways to take you out. And all of a sudden, you committed suicide.
Well, there's a difference. A lot of people don't understand. There's the deep state within places like the NSA, the CIA, the FBI. But within that, there is dissemination. There is division. There are people that actually want to do the right thing. And then there are the people who, like Comey, whose pockets are lined by people like Clinton. Obviously, I don't think anybody doesn't know that already, but I just wanted to reiterate that.
To go back to the meeting here, following their first ever meeting, it was supposed to only last for like 30 or 40 minutes. It went for 2 hours plus, and I think that's a really good sign. The question on everyone's mind was, what did the two discuss? So in addition to the previously discussed ceasefire agreement in the southwest Syria, unexpectedly announced by the two nations, speaking at the beginning of his meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe.
I didn't even see it.
Vladimir Putin said that during his first meeting with the U.S. President Donald Trump, the two discussed Syria, Ukraine, counterterrorism, and drumroll, the fight against cybercrime. I had a very lengthy conversation with the President of the United States. There were a lot of issues, such as the Ukraine, Syria, and other problems, some bilateral issues, according to the Interfax news agency. We again returned to the issues of fighting terrorism and cyber security. Elaborating, I do like my Vladimir Putin there. Elaborating after the meeting, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson said Trump repeatedly, we talked about that. So I think that's really cool. There's the ceasefire. I'm so happy to see them together.
Play that for a second, because that's what I tried to watch earlier. Can you make it bigger? No, it won't go bigger. The entire time, and this went on for quite some time.
I might be able to get this one bigger.
Putin had,
I don't know if it's
at least the like 10 minutes I tried to watch and I couldn't hear it. Putin had this like huge smile on his face.
They're waiting for everybody to calm down around them, and then I suspect there'll be that handshake we're all looking at.
See that? He's just got this like cute little like his eyes smile.
He's sitting back in his chair looking fairly relaxed. Donald Trump, edgy.
I like Putin.
Forward.
Does that show?
Let's see if we can hear what they're saying.
Various things, and I think it's going very well. We've had some very, very good talks. We're going to have a talk now, and obviously that will continue. But we look forward to a lot of very positive things happening for Russia, for the United States, and for everybody concerned. It's an honor to be with you.
Hey, there you go.
Alexander, I don't know if you saw that particular handshake. It wasn't the friendliest thing I've seen, but equally.
What is this? Like some? It wasn't the.
It's a spin.
You want? What are you?
What are we watching? BBC? That's no surprise.
They wanted an Indian Modi hug.
Let's wait to see what happens.
No,
in the meeting.
Putin's not going to do a bromance hug.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it just certainly doesn't seem friendly. It seemed friendly to me, BBC.
Of this meeting, this bilateral meeting,
is the
few number of people that are involved. Rex Tillerson is there.
This is so exciting. I'm so excited right now, seeing them in the same room.
Equivalent in Russian ministry, and 2 translators, and that's it. Some say that's a problem. Actually, I'm just going to.
Some say that's a problem for them just to be hanging out with a couple translators.
And being able to resolve most acute international obviously.
Canadian Giant. No, we don't drink. We're just this crazy without any alcohol. Yeah.
I'm delighted to be able to meet you personally, Mr. President, and I hope, as you have said, our meeting will yield positive results in the future after this.
There you go.
Mr. President, will you raise the election hacking?
Election hacking. You know what? This is why we call you fake news. This is why we call you fake news media, because your first question wasn't, hey, how about that ceasefire in Syria going? How's that going? You think that's going to save some lives? Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Hey, about those sanctions. Hey, maybe we drop those sanctions. No, we don't want to talk about any of that. What are they going to do about the election hacking? I want to punch somebody in the face. I'm not violent.
No violence.
That's my job. Punch somebody in the face. You want to punch somebody in the face. Trump had tweeted out earlier, I look forward to all meetings today with world leaders, including my meeting with Vladimir Putin. Much to discuss.
Somebody says BBC is just a posh CNN.
BBC is, I'm sorry, yeah.
I agree. Which media in USA is your favorite? Resistance chicks.
Look at this.
Duh.
Look at this. This photo already everywhere in Russian media, as was a similar one with Obama. Putin knows how to play this game.
Horatio, is that what you were talking about a minute ago when he said that they will try to dissect the handshake with Trump's hand underneath? Seriously, we don't go to US. Jeez, hang on, watch it. This is violence around here. We don't go to USA media very often. If we do, it's it has to be Fox News, but specifically Tucker Carlson on Fox News. Not really anybody else. We try to go to other foreign news networks like RT.
Okay, wait. This is gonna be awesome.
What is
so
it?
It just says that this is the meeting. This is the dinner, right? So Trump sits next to the Japanese prime minister's wife, and he's looking for a seat. And Melania ends up sitting next to Putin.
Melania
because she speaks Russian. Doesn't she speak Russian?
I don't know. She speaks a lot more languages than everyone else.
I think it would be better for her to sit next to him because they could speak the same language. I think that's up here. I don't know. There's a translator there. She speaks like a ton of languages. You'd think that they would, between the two of them, they'd come up with one that they could speak together. That's kind of interesting.
Somebody Google that really quick. What languages does Melania Trump speak? And put it in the chat because now I want to know. I know I've heard it before, but I can't remember. She speaks too many languages. I don't know. She speaks
Spouses
English.
separated at the G20. FLOTUS seated next to Putin. I love it. I think that's awesome. It's kind of the big deal. So you can tell by Putin's body language he likes and respects Trump's strong leadership style.
I don't care about his stupid body style. Look at the look on his face. Their eyes are smiling. You can't fake smiling eyes. Right here. You can't fake them, okay? Their eyes are smiling. This is good deal. Why is our phone ringing?
Phone's ringing.
People are not allowed to call our
When we
house.
go live,
Can
Mom, you have to have a phone on you.
Jeez. Oh my God.
That's our, now you know our phone number. Please don't call it. Just kidding. That's okay. Our business line is.
That was Janet.
Oh, Mom, it was Janet. You're going to have to call her back. It was
Or
Janet.
else she'll keep calling.
Yep. She needs to know how we're taking care of our friends' fish.
Fish. Not just any fish. Goldfish. Big, giant, like
Horatio knows about this.
8,500
It
gallon
takes
tanks.
2 hours to change out the water for these fish twice a week. This is what we call real friendship.
Yes, there's multiple tanks and then fish. I didn't know. Growing up, I had fish and they always died. I didn't know that they were burning alive in their own like feces because the water looked clean to me. The fish are a very delicate thing. It's terrifying. I feel terrible for the fish. All right, back to Trump. The fish.
Well, there's really there's really not much else to see. I kind of. Well, we could.
Did somebody leave it in the comment? Melania's languages.
We could probably Google it.
You could, but I asked them to do the work. We do all of the work. If the camera gets pixelated, there is nothing I can do about that. It's just, whatever it is.
So let's hear how RT spins it.
Which president looks more like He-Man? No.
Vladimir looks awful tiny next to Donald Trump, but he's big in spirit. Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump have held a much-anticipated first meeting on the sidelines of the G20 summit in Germany, which lasted more than 2 hours. This is what I wanted to see RT's explanation. I haven't been to it yet. The meeting in Hamburg was initially planned to last for 34 minutes, as we learned about.
Pause.
Yeah?
Michael Thomas says, Mrs. Trump is from Slovenia. So that one, the others are English, French, Serbian, and German.
Serbian is kind of close to Russian. You'd think that they would, it's kind of like us. It's more than us picking up on Mexican, Spanish. Mexican Spanish.
Mom, you can't have a conversation in the kitchen while we're going live. You're not allowed to do that. Mom, pause. Welcome to our life. You guys love being a part of our family. Here's the thing. Can I plug Resistance Chicks for just 1 second? Because, Ma, you can't have a conversation in the kitchen while we're going live. I feel like I should be Italian. Hey, Ma, you can't have a conversation in the kitchen while we're trying to go live here. Okay? So, seriously. But you can't get this stuff anywhere else. She is still having a conversation in the kitchen, and my face is getting red because this is just too hilarious. Mom! Mama! She doesn't listen, just like any other we're not Italian though, but it's kind of like that.
You don't have to hang up.
But why can't you just take the phone out that way?
Go into the basement.
Did it interrupt your feed?
Well, no, you didn't interrupt us, but we could just hear you.
But they can hear me.
But they probably could hear you. I don't know. Maybe I could. Maybe they can't now they have a microphone. Maybe I was making a big deal about nothing. But it was funny.
Michelle, why are you always picking on your mother? Leave your mother alone.
So here's the thing, you guys. I really think that what we have here at Resistance Chicks is very, very unique.
It's special. special.
It's very special.
That's what they say to
They're like, no, we don't hear her. Sorry. Is mom drinking too? No, mom don't drink. No.
So, Putin says, we've had a very long discussion with the U.S. president. Many issues accrued, including Ukraine, Syria, and other problems, as well as some bilateral issues. And then we know about the fighting terrorism and the cybersecurity.
And once again, I know you guys leave a lot of comments, but since Horatio is our UK correspondent, and he did leave a really pertinent comment here. He says, let's not forget that Putin isn't called the butcher of Grozny for nothing. He's a really bad guy, but in the big scheme of things, he's on the Western side. I am not going to discount that Putin has done some very bad things. However, I don't think that, I guess Trump is probably the only person out there that I can say who doesn't have blood on his hands yet.
Yeah, he sent out that Syria bomb.
You're right, he did. And so in politics, in the world that we live in today, really we're just cheering for a bunch of people that are all crooks and they're all evil and they're all really bad people.
Who is the least crooked?
It's like the lesser of two evils. Putin is pro-Russia and is willing to work with anybody else that is not a globalist. So in that sense, I'm definitely going to be able to get behind him.
You definitely have to weigh the lesser of two evils because, right. I mean, seriously, Putin has gone, and Russia, they have undergone a spiritual, physical change. Remember where
right.
Russia was.
And I think that Putin has kind of had just from his stance, he's had a repentant-ish,
Yeah, I mean, I think he had some affairs but you can see where he's at now and he's changed. And I think that's why right. he and Trump get along well. And I think on the morality side, Putin is more on the, real leader side. I think right. he, at this point, through a lot of trials and craziness that they've had to deal with, our world is right. not an awesome place. There is not one great leader.
Granted, Russia has had a really bad history of kind of, I don't even know, corrupt, evil dealings. And so Putin was kind of born into that. It's kind of like he inherited it.
He was KGB, so.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I'm just saying he's made a turn, I think. So
he
forgiveness
a
little bit, maybe.
He had a spiritual moment.
Yeah.
He came to know Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He had a moment. And he brought Christianity back. This is the same kind of, I think that there's a rebirth. We have to allow for rebirth. We have to allow for change.
Case in point is Trump. Because yeah. Leah and I were very anti-Trump in the beginning, just given his past, given his history. You know what I mean? And we saw a turn, a change. And so we're willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. What are you doing?
And we're waiting to see how in depth and rooted that change is, right?
Yeah.
But Putin's his roots keep going deeper and deeper and
right.
deeper.
And Putin has had more time to show the fruits of his repentance, whereas Trump has had very little time.
So think of like Venezuela under Hugo Chavez. They were like 90% economy on oil, and then the oil prices dropped. And now they're starving. Like there's no food for these people because they didn't work. The government stole all the farms,
right? As
Brian, our friend Brian, pointed out. And so nobody's growing food, right? Because they imported everything. And Putin said that at the towards the end, the latter end of the communism, before the sanctions, they were a high exporter of oil as well. And then the sanctions hit. And Putin said we had no food. We had nothing. He realized that they were going to have to become a sustainable country. And in that is his salvation, is the country's salvation. I think that
right.
that is what is, that when you do a wrong, you can make it right. And communism is very, very, very wrong. And we've told you guys before, we've been to Russia. Our aunt is Russia.
We are Russian agents.
Our uncle started a major company in Russia.
Procter & Gamble.
Okay. I wasn't going to, name names or anything like that. But anyways, so we saw it like right at the beginning of what you could call democracy, but they were still all very, very poor, very, very hungry, still not a lot of food going around, especially not a lot of processed food.
Right.
I mean, y'all can go to the store and buy a cake. They can't do that. They couldn't even, at the time, they couldn't even buy like cream cheese. I mean, these are just like little things. So
when we were there, and this was in what, 94? 95? I was just an infant child. Things that we wanted to buy, American food, was outrageously expensive. I think a can of Pringles was like $8, and this was in like 95.
I don't know.
It was ridiculous. Yeah. One thing that Horatio added was the difference between Russia then and Russia now is that Russia had an ideology then. They don't have an ideology now, and if you don't have an ideology, you can be reasoned with, you can be talked to, but when you're stuck in an ideology, there's no swaying you.
And they actually have embraced Christianity.
I was called